Greetings, ones and zeros, zeros and ones, boys and girls that are now men and women, kings and queens, gods and goddesses, spiritual beings of this divine matrix. Welcome. My name is Clay. Today, I want to share on this Cancer full moon, or this full moon that, according to our 5D calendar, is in the representation of the gates or the house or the zodiacs, as the secular world call it, of Nekbet. Nekbet is synonymous on the 5D calendar with Cancer. And I'm working on another name besides calling it a calendar, because of recent I've come into the awareness that calendar refers to taxes. So I'm seeing that the spell that is being casted every time you're saying calendar is that you're in agreement with the taxation system that is in place by the malevolent or the malevolence forces. And I'm definitely not in compliance with the malevolent system, the bad system, the terrible system, the terrestrial system of collecting taxes based on your sins. I understand that they do what they do because they are the default when you are in a sinful state, or when you're in a forgetful state, when you're in a sleep state, you pay taxes according to their system. So I'm working on a name rather than calling it a calendar, to call it something else. Anyway, we have a calendar, a 5D calendar that we go by, which begins in spring as opposed to beginning in the onset of winter as the Gregorian calendar does. So to go a little further, talking about the calendar system, now the entire world trades, or the economy of the entire world surrounds or is guided by the Gregorian calendar. So Pope Gregory, I think the 13th, is the one who put that calendar in place. Now, ever since Pope Gregory put that calendar in circulation, it means that the taxation system of the entire earth has been colonized by the Pope Gregory spirit, and whatever Pope Gregory represents, which he represents Rome, he represents Babylon, as Rasta would call it, or Babylon. He represents colonized mentality, which is the crux of the matter. Now, on this Cancer moon, I want to point out the reality that in this season, in this winter solstice season, it is the season of manifestation according to the seasonal cycles of the world. So when you talk about a cycle, you're talking about a spiral, which is similar to a circle, which is a cycle, as we talk about the moon cycle, right? So the moon goes around the earth and the earth goes around the sun. So that's the solar cycle as it relates to the sun and the earth. As the earth goes around the sun, that's the solar cycle. And as the moon goes around the earth, that is the lunar cycle. And that lunar cycle, if you do not pay attention to that lunar cycle, it will raise your emotions as it raises the tides in certain individuals, and you will become or be labeled a lunatic, right? Because the lunar cycles influence you to the degree where you're outside of your emotional understanding by the general populace. So they call you a lunatic. Nonetheless, to keep going in the lunar house that we're in, it is a Cancer cycle. It's a Cancer lunation. It's in the Cancer house. It's in the Cancer gates, Cancer celestials, or Cancer okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. And as the moon is in full lunation in Cancer, the sun is in Capricorn. That is the season that we're in. We're in the season of Capricorn. Capricorn season begins the winter season. And as I was saying, the winter season or the winter solstice begins the manifestation season, similar to how in the lunar cycle, the new moon, which is the darkest time for the month, the new moon represents manifestation, and the full moon represents transmutation. So that is similar to the winter solstice, representing the lunar cycle, the new moon manifestation, and the summer solstice representing the lunar full moon transmutation. So what I'm pointing to is how the Gregorian system, how the colonized system is forcing us as humans to operate in an unnatural way. Because when you in the manifestation season are practicing consumption, then when it's time for transmutation, you're going to see the effects of what it is that you've been consuming rather than planting seeds, right? Because manifestation time is the time of planting seeds. The new moon time is the time of planting seeds, right? You plant seeds during the new moon because you want to plant what it is you're going to manifest, and then come into the full moon, then you will see what has been manifested, and there will be a transmutation that you practice in order to release as you recognize the fruits that comes from the manifestation that you did. So I trust that that explanation is adequate. This is a new cycle for me in terms of recognizing my celestial nature, my sovereignty, recognizing my status as a deity to myself and to the rest of us all, who are also deities, who are also gods. So this is my second video talking about the lunar cycle, which I'm going to be doing a video every lunar cycle as a part of my practice of what it is that I'm observing, as I am paying tribute, paying homage, honoring my ancestors who said, as above, so below, Kemet, as within, so without. So all these lunary or these star bodies are within us. So that is how it is that we are star beings, we are star seeds. So I'm expressing my observations as a star seed. I'm making it practical. So in this lunar cycle of Cancer, Cancer represents family. Cancer represents public-private affairs. Cancer represents public, which is the career aspect of things, your job. What do you do for a quote-unquote living? I wouldn't say so much what do you do for a living. I would say what is your occupation. And as things go on, I may change these words because I'm finding that a lot of these words are spells. So to go forward into the message, into rewiring my mental to the depths of my soul, I'm saying that Cancer represents that time when you pay attention to family as you pay attention to yourself. That's the personal and private. And then there's the more public and private. You pay attention to your occupation as you pay attention to how it is that your occupation serves the public. Right? Now, in this season of manifestation, I'm seeing that the season is asking for us to go inward. This is a season to go inward as we are coming off of the winter solstice, which has the darkest night. So these nights are going to be the darkest nights for the northern hemisphere. It's going to be the longest nights for the northern hemisphere. Just as you put a seed into the earth and it takes all the gestation period that it needs to come full fruition in summer, it's going to spring in 3 months, or in 3 cycles, or 3 steps, 3 gates, because it goes from, as they would say, December, January, February, and March. March is spring. Or you could get the houses, which it goes from Capricorn to Anubis, which Anubis is, I know the 5D calendar. Anubis, it goes from Set to Anubis to Newt to Aries. So it goes from Capricorn to Aquarius to Pisces to Aries. Aries is a star in the 5D calendar. So those are the 3 houses or gates that it crosses to get into spring. Spring in that case being the 4th. So now I'm seeing the importance of paying attention in this season to what the secular world is doing as it relates to the secular world is in high consumption time. This is high consumption time for the secular world. The economy that is under the spirit of Pope Gregory's calendar is telling you that now is the heaviest taxation time. Now is the time when you should consume. The economy, if you check Google and the statistics, this time of the year is the time of the year, according to their year, the time of season where they impose collective pressure, peer pressure on the collective to consume the most. And the modality, the methodology of doing it is through family. And that is no coincidence, because then Cancer is relating to family. How do you relate to public-private affairs? How does the individual operate in the family? How does the family as an individual unit operate into the wider familial unit of the collective, right? And so on and so forth. How does a community operate in a state? How does a state operate within a union, so to speak? How does that union operate in countries, and how does that country participate in the world? So you see that this is a modality to really tax on the energies that we have, that we are putting into place. So when you give into the malevolent forces in this season, it's a guarantee that come spring, they will be taxing you. It's a guarantee that come summer, the height of summer, that is going to be a heavy taxation time for you. You are going to have to pay for what you have done in winter. And a huge sign of this is that summer is the highest period for suicides. Many people do not pay attention to this. They're not aware of this. I wasn't aware of this. I'm now aware of this because I'm specifically focusing on mental health, because I came through a schizophrenic break. With schizophrenia is diagnosed as a mental health problem. And as far as I'm seeing, as far as I'm witnessing, as far as I know, spirit, being in tune with your spirit, is the only way to transcend mental diseases. It is the only way. Being in tune with your spirit is the only way to transcend your mental diseases, because all diseases comes from the lack of recognition in spirit, and as there's a lack of recognition in spirit, it manifests in the physical for you to have the recognition, right? So to go forward, summertime is the height of suicidal rates. It's the height of mental issues, because suicide is the ultimate mental issue, right? And as a society, we see that during summer, which is the shortest night and the longest days begin, as the light that is being shone upon the earth must now bring forth what it is that has been planted in winter, that has been planted in the new moon, right? As the full moon comes out and there's a lunation and you see the fullness of it. This is what's happening in summer. In summer, you're seeing the fullness of the light that is shining on the earth and how it's breaking through the human soul. And as it breaks through the human soul, most of the suicides that are taking place on earth in the northern hemisphere takes place in summer. And it's the same thing it's the inverse reality that takes place in the southern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, they're going to experience the same thing. During their summer, it's going to be the height of suicide rates in that hemisphere, because the lunation, the seeds that have been planted during the winter solstice, during the new moon, must come to light, right? They must come to light. So if you have been ignoring, as a person particularly who has mental problems, or who has family members that are prone to mental health issues, which really those family members are members that are placed in a particular category of trauma sensitive. It's time for them to deal with their trauma one way or the other, and if they don't deal with their trauma, it is coming to fruition. So during this time, you will find that trauma cases come full circle for people particularly with mental health diseases or mental health issues. So summertime is high active time. It's high active time for everything. Everything gets activated even more and more, because it is what has been sown in winter that is going to come to fruition in summer. And so it is with every single moon, because every full moon you will see what has been planted during the new moon. So this is why in my practice, in our practice, me and my partner's practice, what we do is we follow the cycle of the moon, because the moon, as within, so without, as above, so below, right? The moon pulls on your emotions. It pulls on your sacral chakra. What emotions have you planted in your chakra window, in your chakra portal? What emotions have you planted through your chakra portal that will manifest into a flowering come full moon? And for me in particularly, this Cancer season, one of the things that is coming full force is the shedding, the releasing of family, what is deemed to be family anyways, by the human collective, which is typically blood related family. It's typically a mother and a father, a brother and a sister, an auntie and an uncle, or it doesn't have to be blood. It could be an adopted mother and an adopted father. But it's this kind of a relationship where, for the most part, it's trauma bonded. So I'm handling my release in this way, that I'm seeing that in my life, I do not have a like-minded family member that I grew up with. So I do not have a like-minded mother. I do not have a like-minded father. I do not have a like-minded brother. I do not have a like-minded sister. Fortunately, I have a like-minded partner. My children are not particularly like-minded. I see different gifts in them, and some are more inclined to spirit than others. So the idea of having a family, in my eyes, as a 5D member, as a 5D frequency proponent, is that like minds travel on the same frequency, and that is what a family is. Family members travel on the same frequency. So the same frequency that I'm referring to is the love frequency, is the 5D frequency. 5D, fifth dimension, is the love frequency. So that is one of the releases that I am putting forward to rewire my mind in this time, in this Cancer season, in this full moon, to see that I am rewiring my mind to release the synthetic idea of family, to release the unnatural idea of family, to release the terrestrial idea of family. That is what I am releasing in this full moon, and I invite those who are of like mind to like, comment, share if you're dear, subscribe, and let us have a conversation and see what it is that you are releasing in this Cancer full moon. And that concludes my share. As I say, Ashe, Amen, and Namaste. Each one, reach one, teach one.